Today has been a day. So, needless to say, I have not cut this pattern out. So, while I'm waiting on you all to come in, I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. I'm not going to make any adjustments or anything. Oh, hang on 1 second. Okay. All right. So, let me go ahead and notify everybody that I'm in. All right, there we go. Yo, Lysandra. Lysandra. Hey, Wanda. Good evening. Good evening. I was over there posting back to Facebook. Y'all, I promise y'all, I posted earlier, but I took it down because I couldn't make it in the time I said. I was supposed to come in like 7 o'clock. No, posted. I was going to come in at 7:30, y'all. And I wanted to make this salmon bowl that I haven't made before. And one, I didn't have all the ingredients when I ordered it. And it was a whole bunch of stuff. Anyway, I went ahead and made it, and it turned out delicious. So I still got a little bit left over. No, I don't. I ate it. You going through your patterns now trying to find you something. Well, I haven't even had a chance to cut mine out. So I hope y'all don't mind. But while we wait on the rest of the folks to get in, I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. Can y'all hear me okay? Because I sound muffled. Am I loud enough? Ooh, I hope it didn't do something. All right. Let me know if you can hear. But as I've been telling y'all, I am going to cut this out. This is a like a poplin fabric, more like a lightweight twill. This is going to be my wearable muslin. Just a little low. Okay, let me see. Hang on. Let me see if I can do something about that. Is that any better? It might be these earbuds. I don't know, because the other ones, I don't know what I did with them. That's better? Okay, good. Somehow I think I did something to turn it down. All right. Y'all, I haven't even ironed the fabric. Hey, that one kid, how art thou? Welcome to my channel. My name is Alethea, for those of you that are not familiar with me. So, again, I am working on Simplicity 9714, and I picked it for 2 reasons. For the set-in sleeves, and for week 4, we're going to be doing notched collars. So, it also has a notched collar. So, we're going to get into it. First, I might entertain the pants. I usually don't like pants with elastic in the waist. I can't tell if the elastic is all the way around. If the elastic is all the way around, I'm not going to make them. Because I can't stand elastic waist pants. Now, the back, I might entertain the thought. But I like a banded waist. Alright, so the only thing I'm going to cut out right now is the bodice front and the back and the sleeve. That way we can work on those. I'll cut out the rest at another time. What's everybody else working on? Miss Sandra says she's got to find her something. So find something and go along with you. And if you don't mind, share this out. Because I am on later than I normally come on. Don't forget to use your paper scissors to cut the pattern pieces out. I'm going to do this fairly quickly. I didn't even look at what size this pattern is. It goes up to 16. So I may just cut out the 16. It's the 16. So that means in retail size, that would be like a size 12. Patterns are generally cut two sizes larger than your retail size. That was the norm. So things kind of get mixed up a little bit. So in the retail world, this 16 would be a 12. That's not always the case, but I do wear 12. I can wear 12 jackets, or between 14 and 16 pants in retail, depending on how they're cut. Y'all still with me? So I've cut out back A. That's piece number 5, and front A. That's all I need there. And then I am cutting out piece 10, which is the sleeve. Yeah, I'll cut the other pieces out later. Most of this is actually pertaining to the pants, except for the flaps and the pockets on the jacket. Alright. I don't see. I hope I didn't lose y'all somehow. Okay. Try to look at this. Yeah, I'm not sure what happens when that does that. When I can't see the comments at some point, and then all of a sudden they show up. See here. Okay, I see your comment on here. Got it. All right. So I'm gonna put this in here. Hold on just a little bit more. Are you working on anything, Wanda, tonight? Take that. I'm not trying to put my pattern up. I have to tape it back up. Yeah, it's been one of them days. One of those days. Now I'm trying to find my tape dispenser. I don't know if you guys were on earlier when I was on Instagram, but I shared with everybody my plans for my bag to finish up with the. I found the shoulder strap. That's nice. Nursing allergies, and it's 14 degrees. Ooh, wow, that's cold. That is cold. I have a little mini iron, and I'm gonna see if I can pull it out and make it work. I don't ever use it, but it's the cutest thing. I bought it about a year and a half ago. And it's just so tiny, but I think it may work for like pressing patterns together and stuff like that. See if I can find it. I hope everybody had a great weekend. Let me know what you did over the weekend. If you sewed something, let me know. If you participated in the Stashbusting Fashion Week 1 where we work on zippers, let me know. Love to know what you stitched up. Oh, well, I guess that little mini yarn is not in here. That's all my tissue paper for me making patterns. Alright, let me set this up. I think that was it. Just unplugged it. Yep. Isn't that cute? It's the tiniest little iron. See? Isn't that tiny? I found it at Joann's one day. I was looking for this pattern because I'm going to do that cardigan pattern right there too. I started to change up and do this instead because it is a set-in sleeve as well, and I already have fabric that I want to use for that, so I'm going to keep that out. Alright, isn't that cute? It's the tiniest little thing. I don't know if it's supposed to have water in it or what. I don't know. Let me cut this off. I guess once I'm live, I can't do anything. You have that pattern too? Alright, so yeah, I want to do that. Hopefully I can get to do that because I'm not going to make this full jacket this week because I want to save the neck part for the final week. So I guess I should have just saved it, period. How this works because I haven't used it in a while and I'm not even sure, so we're gonna see how this worked, if it do what it's supposed to do. I don't know. Alright, so while that is heating up, I'm gonna put it right here on the little piece of fabric right here. Actually, let me put it on the Teflon. That way it won't burn anything up. I feel like it's getting warm. Alright, so while it's doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and trim a little bit more around the pattern. Now, I like my sleeves long, so I'm probably going to leave this. It actually seems to be at my wrist, so I'll go ahead and cut it off. If I need to leave it, I can. It should be on here long tonight because it's just me showing how to add that sleeve in. And some of the issues that folks were having was making sure that sleeve gets set in right without without the gathers and everything. One the key thing to setting the sleeve in is making sure you add all the notches, mark all the notches and mark all the placement points and cut the sizes right, especially if you have multiple size patterns, making sure that you have the right sizes matched up. That's key. So this is what I'm going to do. Alright, so it's great. It's pretty warm. Hey Curry, what's happening? Look, I got that video you sent me, and guess what? I started looking at that same video, and I set it aside, but I'm glad you sent it back to me so I can watch the rest of it. I still got a little bit more to go, but isn't that how we do things? Like, that's my whole process of me creating a gown. Take the measurements like that. I do a muslin, uh, just like she did. Go ahead, cut it out. Now, of course, YouTube world, it seems faster than what it is because you leave out all the extra time that she spent marking it up and drafting out the pattern and everything. I don't know what I did with my shoulder, but I feel like my shoulder is throwing off. I don't know if I lifted something up or I slept on it wrong. So I'm not going to adjust anything on here for time's sake. Like I say, this red is going to be my wearable muslin, so whatever adjustments I need to make, I'll make it on this jacket. And whatever modifications I need to make next time around, I'll make note on this particular one. Okay. You just got kicked off? Huh. I ain't no kicking nobody off on my live. Why was that, I wonder? You sewing tonight, Curry? I picked up another wedding gown client today. And a prom client. Wanda, are you still sewing formal? Are you still sewing formal wear? And Curry, are you starting to get prom in yet? Alright, so let's test this iron out and see. Hey Michelle, how art thou? We're testing this little miniature iron out. See how small this iron is? It's small. So I'm using it to press out my pattern pieces. It's working, y'all. Y'all see. It's working. That's so cute. I used it maybe one time and I just tucked it away because it was just too small. Like, I can't see it doing anything other than ironing out these pattern pieces. If anybody has this iron, let me know. And let me know, there's these little holes in there like steam's supposed to come out, but I'm thinking, where are you supposed to put the water at? Makes no sense to me. So I just never took the time to look it up to see. how you're supposed to operate. Now, so it doesn't have a whole lot of steam. No, that's what I was wondering. You have this iron that work, just no steam. Okay, like it's not getting the wrinkles out all the way, but it has. They have flattened them out a lot. Like, so I can work with that. So I'm just going to show you. See how really wrinkled that is? So. Like, I can see it doing some stuff. It just, it seems like it's going out. Yeah, so I don't know. No, now it's not getting hot like it was. Not that thing, right? It's too cute though. I couldn't resist it when I saw it. I was like, oh my goodness, the world's tiniest iron. I thought the Oliso iron, the little mini one, was small. When I saw this, I was like, oh my goodness. Okay. So it's better, but it's still got wrinkles in it. So, but it's enough for me to press out. Yeah, it ain't doing nothing for the fabric. Once I get this cut out, then we'll talk about the sleeves. But like I said, as I was saying, the key to setting in the sleeve correctly from the start is to make sure that they're marked correctly. Make sure the right sizes are cut out. I now know why I put this iron away and didn't use it no more. Because I have little patience for stuff that don't quite. Yeah, it just, I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna put this little miniature thing up to the side. So my granddaughter is ready to shop for fabric for her prom dress. Is she? Oh, that's awesome. I'm gonna put that there. And nothing is cut on the fold. The back of this, the back piece is cut on the, it's cut in two pieces. And that's good because you don't have to, it's good because you don't have to, you can easily adjust it. Like for me, I have a sway back, like my back curves in like that. And so I either need to have darts in the back or it needs to have a back seam, center back seam. So it makes it easy for me to make the adjustments and make it fit onto my back. The other thing is I have a tootie boot. Well, sway back tootie boot is all about the same thing. But I have a short torso. That makes sense. It's short, but it's not. It's weird. Like I'm short here in the front, but the back seems longer or average. However, my back, because I guess because of the sway back, there's wrinkling right at the waist. So I have to always make sure I make that lengthening adjustment in the back. All right, so I am going to, so I'm not going to be able to cut both of those pieces out like I thought. But you know, each one of these pieces are going to have to be cut separately by themselves. So I am cutting 16 out. Size 16. Has anybody made this pattern before? I'm using this pattern, Mimi G's Simplicity 9714. I'm just working on the jacket. Just want to know if anybody has used it before. Okay. You know, these blades, they get eaten up so fast. My sister says that Temu sells some good blades, rotary cutter blades. Like y'all, Temu I believe gonna put Walmart and everybody else out of business, even Amazon. Every time I turn around, it's Temu this, Temu that, Temu. I have to show y'all my furniture. Yeah, I bought some furniture from Temu. And it came out pretty nice. I sat there and put it together. I did a little video. I think I ended up deleting it, but I did a video. So I have proof that I put this furniture together. It's something, little temporary pieces of furniture I needed for storage in my bedroom. So I'll come back and mark those pieces. Well, actually, I can go ahead and mark them now. See, that didn't come up. All right, so let's go ahead and mark those now. I usually cut my pieces. I usually snip them, but I'm going to go ahead and snip this here. Right there at the end. And then I'm going to snip my placement mark right there. Make sure I got them. Okay. I don't necessarily, well, let me go ahead and do this too. I don't always snip the side seams. You love Temu? My mom the one turned me on to Temu. Every time I ask her when she got something, it'd be so cute, like the cutest shoes and stuff and shades. I've got several of my shades from Temu that y'all like. But stuff that she gets, stuff for the house and gifts and things like that. I said, where did you get that from? It's so cute. Temu. I was like, oh my God, you're a Temu. Temu. I was leery because every time I turn on Temu, they trying to get me to buy it, get extra. Oh, you get $300. Oh, you get spend again, and you get 3 more gifts. And by the time I get to the end with my 3 gifts, I'm paying like $70, $80. I'm like, Temu ain't my friend. I don't know if anybody else had that experience. But I'm like, I don't know where the free stuff at. So this is the front part. But you know what? If I had I probably could have saved on the sleeve if I had to open this up. Probably what I should have did. But anyway, this is just the test. This is a test. This is only a test. I remember that after school special, this is only a bill sitting here on Capitol Hill. I'm making this jacket right here. Actually, I'm just kind of testing, working with it because of the set-in sleeve. So this week, I forgot to say my little spiel. So this week we are working on set-in sleeves. You know, this stash busting fast, I decided to focus on techniques rather than the number of garments that you make. and all while sewing from my stash. And so I know I cut the pattern paper with this, but I'm gonna try this. Let's see. And I thought I had bought me some more blades, but I need to buy some. But anyway, last week we did the zippers if you were following along. And this week we're focusing on, oh yeah, that's much better. This week we're focusing on setting sleeves. Next week we'll be doing everything that has to do with darts. I don't know if that sleeve gonna be long enough, that fabric gonna be long enough for the sleeve. But that's okay. I thought this year, I want to make maybe at least once a month, make something for myself. I'm so busy sewing for other customers, sewing for my clients and stuff like that, that I never really make anything, take the time to make anything out for me. You get a lot of free gifts without spending extra, do you? Curry said, yes, that's after school was, I'm just a bill. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Oh, I'm just a bill sitting here on Capitol Hill. I guess I'll whatever. Hey, Keisha Kazi K Creations, how art thou? That's right, Schoolhouse Rock. That's it. That was a classic. Yes, it was. They just don't make stuff like that no more, do they? They can't make stuff without showing a little skin and politics all involved. But you know what? Probably a lot of that stuff we was watching that was politics related. We just didn't realize it because we were kids, right? I'm probably not going to put any side pockets or anything. Well, this is more so for the flap, I think. So let me go ahead and make that indentation anyway. And I'll go back later. I don't know that I'll put a flap on this. I might. So, I don't know. As long as I got the arms, the notches and stuff for the sleeve. That was my main concern. We'll go back in and fill in the rest later. All right. This is just a test on. All right. So this is for the sleeve. Once I get the sleeve cut out, then we can go ahead. Only thing I cut out for this is the front, the back, the front of the jacket, the back of the jacket, and the sleeve. So we can focus on the, it was almost just enough. Well, it is just enough. How about that? Y'all see that? Look at that. That was perfect. All right, let me make sure there's enough up under there. You know how sometimes the bottom is cut somehow? That I couldn't have cut that better. That's right on the very tip edge. So I don't need to cut the hem at the bottom of the sleeve. I'll do that, but I just need to cut the sides and around the cap. Let me straighten this back out because making sure this pattern is on grain is key. You ever wash your clothes or launder something and then they twist it? That's because they were cut off grain. Now I gotta go back and make sure that the layers line up. I'm just Now I got that song in my head. I'm just a bill, really a bill, sitting here on Capitol Hill. Y'all finish the song. What is it? What's the rest of it? I think it's like a poplin or a twill, like a lightweight twill. Khaki. I was trying to think of the name of this earlier today. Khaki is it's like a khaki. I was trying to think of the old school term we used to call this kind of fabric. We used to use khaki. Everything was khaki and poplar. We have none of these fancy terms like viscose and all that stuff. Okay. Well, I'll have to find something else to do the collar with. Or as I use this as the muslin just to check, just to show you guys, it'll let me know what I need to do to the pattern. Because I would like to actually make this in a off-white jacket. I also would like to make a black one. I really want this to be kind of a casual jacket. So what I'm doing is going in and marking the underarm notches and the placement notches, the placement dots. The little circles are the placement dots, or they're the circles that indicate where the gathering and the easing should be. So those are very important. So for those, and I'm talking to whoever might watch this video and come along. I know I got a lot of pros on here, professional. But that is the center or the shoulder dot right there. That should definitely be cut out. These circle dots right next to it, those are the cap dots, or the dots where the easing should be. All your easing should be right there. The most of your easing should be right in there, because that's where the majority of your movement's going to be, or your hinge, so to speak. I like to call it like the chicken. It has that little groove or the gristle. I like to call it the little hinge. But you have to be able to move your arm right there in that spot. So that dot, one dot is about right here, and the other one is about right here. So that's where a lot of your ease need to be. So it's important to make sure that those dots are cut, as well as make sure that your back underarm notch is cut, because this is your arm side right here that's going up under your arm. And you have to cut these to make sure that you're placing your sleeve on right. You don't want to ever put your sleeve on backwards, because the back sleeve has more fullness to it than the curve than the front. There's more curve under the underarm. I don't know if you can see it. The back sleeve kind of goes out like this, and the front sleeve kind of curves a little bit more. So you have to make sure you put them on right, because if not, your front, you put your jacket on, your front gonna look like this, look like you're going backwards. You don't want that. All right. So those are cut out. So I'm gonna move over to the table, and I'm gonna swing you guys around here. I'll move this out the way. And I already have thread on here. I'm not going to change my thread out. Yeah, y'all can hardly lift my arm up. I don't know what happened. I don't know what I did. Excuse me. Did you guys get your mug, Wanda? No, it wasn't you, Wanda. It was Shar and, or was it you? It was you, Wanda. All right, y'all. So it's always important. Now I'm going to read you the instructions. I normally don't look at the instructions, and I'm sure, yeah, it was Shar. Okay, Shar and Trina. Shar and Tina, Terry. She out in Las Vegas. She gonna get me. Tracy. Tracy Leno. Tracy Leno. It was Tracy and Shar that won the mugs. Okay, so now where is my instruction sheet for this? Don't y'all hate when you I don't remember pulling these out. Let me see. Maybe I did, but I don't remember. I did. I pulled them out. Okay. So I'm going to read to you the instructions. So I normally don't do the instructions just because I've been sewing for a minute, so I know how it goes in. But every now and then I'll just double check because there might be a little gimmick or a little trick or something different to do. So I'm going to check. I do double check and make sure that the seam allowances are the norm, like most things are. Sometimes, every now and then, the seam allowance will be a little bit different. So the seam allowance on this is 5/8 of an inch. That's important to know too if you want to make sure that everything is placed like it should be placed. All right, so I'm going to go to the first set of instructions. All right, I'm going to go to the sleeve. I am going to go ahead and sew the shoulder up, but I do want to get to the sleeve part. Okay, 121. Now, I don't see any gathering stitches on this one, so let's see. You see on view 21, we're starting to put the sleeve in. So stitch underarm seam of sleeve sections. Press hem up to finish the raw edge. Stitch under 1/4 of an inch. Zigzag over the edge or overlock. Okay, get that. All right, turn the sleeve right side out. Hold jacket wrong side out with armhole towards you. I like the way she clarifies that and make it very clear of how you're supposed to set this sleeve in, and I'll show you what that looks like. So on this particular one, it says pin sleeve to armhole. All right, so on this one, she has no ease in here whatsoever. Um, so we're going to see how this one sleeve comes out. Because on most sleeves that has I thought I was the only one that didn't read direction. No, every now and then I have to go back and refer to something. Something get, um, can y'all still hear me? Because I think my earbud just died. It said, let me know if you can still hear me. All right, so it says pin sleeve to armhole. So there is no easing in this sleeve. Now that's a first. All right, that's the first. Now I see that if the sleeve, if the fabric is a stretchy fabric, like you can typically not ease anything in, but I'm gonna show you basically as if this pattern did have a sleeve cap to it. I'm gonna show you. This must be more or less a relaxed jacket. So let me read the instructions. This will tell you exactly how this pattern goes. So I probably could have picked a different one just to show you how. But if this sleeve does not fall on the shoulder, if it's off the shoulder, then that would make sense. Um, However, if you look on her pattern, if you look on her sleeve right here, it looks like it has some easing to it, right? Just use my outside voice. Okay. Takes Wanda. All right, so can you see right there? It looks like as if it was eased in there, right? However, this pattern doesn't call for easing. And it does fall off the shoulder just a little bit. So if it falls off the shoulder, then it's not on the sleeve cap. All right, so this, turn this around. Okay, so the sleeve, it looks like her jacket sleeve falls off like my t-shirt does, off the shoulder. So that doesn't really require a whole lot of like a curve. All right, so the easing in the sleeve, if you ever come across a sleeve that has easing, which most things do, is to allow it to curve a little bit so that it can form around the shoulder, right? Like that. But if you had a straight sleeve on the shoulder, there'd be little movement that you could do, right? So I'm gonna put one sleeve in just the way the pattern directs. So that's why every now and then you need to take a look at the pattern to see, because see, I would have just went ahead and eased the sleeve in, and then I would have wondered, well, why doesn't the sleeve fit? Why is this part too big? Well, it doesn't call for it. But even on the pattern piece doesn't call for ease. Usually it'll say ease between these points or ease, right in here. It doesn't say that. So I'm going to go ahead and put the shoulder seams together on the jacket itself by pinning the front and the back together. I'm going to sew the back seam up, and then I am going to get into the shoulder. But what I'm going to do first is go ahead and mark my back and my front pieces. Okay. I'm going to assume that I cut this fabric on the right side. So I'm marking my pieces to make sure I keep the right sides together. Does anybody struggle with setting sleeves? Especially the smooth kind. Now, if you're dealing with a sleeve that has gathers to it, it's not really that big of a problem. Lashondra said DJ is at work tonight. Okay. Yeah, no. Y'all don't hear it, DJ? You spoke too soon. You spoke too soon, Lashondra. DJ just kicked it up a notch. You don't hear Tony Terry? Do you know what today is? It's our anniversary. You call DJ up. All right, so I am going to, this is the center back seam. I'm going to go ahead and stitch that. And I usually like to sew with a 3.0 stitch. Can't remember. Need to cut my iron. But yeah, so my bow, getting back to my salmon bow, I saw this recipe on TikTok. Not TikTok. I saw this recipe on Instagram, and it had red cabbage. It had onions in it. It had carrots in it. It has, of course, the salmon. You make your own sauce with sriracha, mayonnaise, and honey, and then you all these seasonings to go on the salmon, and you stick the salmon in the oven for about 12 minutes. Well, I was going to add edamame beans to mine because I like edamame beans in my bowl. And of course, you make coconut rice. We call for coconut milk over jasmine rice, but I didn't want to do jasmine rice. I was trying to use as much stuff in my household that I had. And so I did have the jasmine rice, which was fine. That was completely fine. I ordered edamame beans, but the girl took them back off my cart because they didn't have them. was like, that was one of the main things I wanted, right? Uh, why are you sewing with? Why am I sewing with? Oh, with this thread, because this is my wearable muslin. Are you talking? Are you wondering why I'm sewing with the small spool thread or the color? You have problems with? Hey, Jacqueline, you have problems with all sleeve. Jacqueline. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. What does that mean, Miss Jacqueline? What kind of problems do you have? Yeah, so this is just a test garment. But we can't see the thread, right? And I want you all to be able to see it. That's why too. Uh I have to really work with the setting sleeve. All right, so what are your issues with setting sleeves, Wanda and Jacqueline? Tell me what issues that you have with all sleeves. Because we can further dig into the sleeve issues. Like we're going to further dig into the zippers at a later time. I'll have a class and set up. And y'all, I am much closer. I'm so excited. I'm getting a little bit more insight on how I want to do these classes, especially like the oh, I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm excited. I was thinking about this all last night, but the retreats, yeah. All I'm gonna say is it's gonna be different. It's gonna be really different, and it's gonna be specific. So I am still looking at the middle of. I know I'm bouncing all over the place, but all this stuff just coming to my head. Um, I am still looking at the week that we normally do our retreats, like that third week in July. Um, and it's always we always do like a 4 day or actually a 3 full day retreat. We come in on the first day. We have 3 days, and we leave on the we have 2 full days, and we leave on the fourth day. Um, Gathering at the sleeve cap. Okay, so that's one of the things that I wanted to address. So we'll talk about that in just a minute as soon as I get the sleeve together. Trying not to have gathers at the top. Okay. All right, so that's been the biggest thing with most people. Let's see if I can pull this out a little bit so y'all can see what I'm doing. All right. Um, so yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and sew the shoulders up. Let me get this iron on. Okay, sit this up. Let me jump back at the key. I think it's time to empty. Yeah, I think it's time to empty my pens off of this thing. Let me show it to you. You think it's time to empty the pens off? The pens keep falling back at me. The only thing that I don't like about when I stick the pins on this magnet is the pins did become magnetized. So when I sew or I lay my scissors down by the pins, then my scissors are collecting pins. Alright. Okay, I'm gonna sit that over there. That's clear enough. Y'all don't hear DJ over there? It's too many pins, I know, right? That's how much work I be doing, y'all. This is gonna be another busy year, but I'm getting a jump on things, y'all. Got me a calendar out. One of my brides contacted me last year, and she wanted to contract me to make her wedding gown for this coming October. So we were supposed to start in December with the deposit and everything. Some things came on her. She's actually a caterer, and so she wanted to just go ahead and get an early start. And so I wanted to make sure of what she was doing before I start taking on more clients because I want to plan out. I don't want to have another hectic busy year. I want to be able to do some other things, you know. So I'm being wiser and smarter with my schedule and my planning with my clients. Um, that's why I'm saying he's at work in the house. Oh, okay. Yeah, you hear? Yeah, he done toned it down a little bit. He be watching me sometime. I see you up there. All right, so all right, one of the things that's important, a couple of things I already mentioned about how important it is to make sure that you notch everything, like you know where your circles are and your notches are. If you have to write a little circle where the dots are, so that you can differentiate between what's what, you should do that. But you already know um, where the shoulder seam is, so I always start pinning where the shoulder seam is, and then the I pin under the side seam, then the arm side the arm side notch, and then I pin the dot, the placement dot, and then I've ease in between there. So I'll show you. But I've got a feeling I'm gonna see. She may not have added ease, but this, because this has a cap to it, because it's rounded like this, it suggests that it should have ease to it. Generally, if it's raining money. Generally, if it's a sleeve that does not have any ease or gathering into it, it will be a flat sleeve, right? It will be cut a little bit. It will be more so like that, like flat. So you can just sew it straight. Um, but I'm gonna sew this in and see how it works. All right. Could be one of those things that they forgot to say add ease in, but we'll see. So I'm gonna do the one side and test it and see. All right. So always press as you go. All right. Doing a set. You doing a set on the sweater knit? Yeah. So sweater knit is a little bit easier, more forgiving. You don't always have to do gathering stitches for that because the fabric is stretchy. So you can kind of pull your fabric and make it go into place how you need it to go. At least that's the case. That's what I do. I don't, when I'm working with a knit and there's a sleeve in it, I don't always gather. Uh, and I think most patterns will call for it if it's knit because you can easily just stretch your fabric into place. All right, so I didn't, for sake of time, I didn't press the back seams. All right, so now I am generally, and I was tempted to do it right then. Generally, I would sew a sleeve in flat like this, meaning I would go ahead and I would lay this out flat like this, and I would pin the notches in the center, the shoulders and everything, and then I would just stitch it open like this. So then that would mean that the side bodice and the sleeves are all running in one seam now. So in this case, we're talking about doing a set-in sleeve. So then you would go ahead and sew up your side seams on your bodice and your sleeve. So let's go ahead and do that. And you'll notice if you need to pin if anybody's following along or just listening, if you need to pin where you need to pin. I just have a habit of not pinning if I can get away with it. Sometimes I need to. All right, that's side seam 1 together. And side seam 2. Now, making sure that you cut the right amount of, I mean, yeah, right amount of seam, or stitch the right amount of seam allowance on each part, the of the sleeve and the bodice will make a difference in how that sleeve sets in. Say, for instance, you add in under the arm inch or half an inch seam allowance, but you don't make that same adjustment on the sleeve uh, seams, then you're not going to have the same amount of room to work with. Something's going to be off because whatever you do at the side seam on one, you need to do at the side seam on the other in order for it to have the right amount of the, in order for it to be proportioned evenly, right? So, but making adjustments to one and not the other is going to make your sleeve off. It's going to make it not line up the way it should. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to go and stitch down. Actually, what I'm going to do, for sake of time, I'm just going to finger press, okay? This fabric is a fabric where you can finger press it, so I'm just going to go ahead and finger press this flat, just for sake of time, but always press your seams as you go. Okay. All right. You said I like sewing in flat sleeves, especially on men's shirts. Yeah, it's so much easier. Hey, Miss Addie. Good evening. Good evening. All right, so let's go ahead and get the side seams on the sleeves done because that's going to be a true set-in sleeve, right? It's so much easier and convenient to do it this way. Um, it's so much easier and convenient to do it the flat method because if you have to make adjustments to the sides, then you can do it all in one long stitch between the sleeve and the bodies. But when you have to make adjustments to the sleeve and the body, um, and they're set in, then you have to take both. You have to take that seam apart, do each piece, and then stitch it back together. It's a little bit longer, but the results are different for like a tailored jacket. Y'all saw me working on that jacket or that coat. You saw me altering that coat, and I literally had to take that sleeve apart, the outer part. I had to take it apart in order to get to um, the sleeve. I had to take it apart under the arm, is what I meant to say. I talk in half sentences sometimes. All right. Now I will say on some jackets, like right in here, there's sometimes a couple of notches on like one side of the sleeve. And that's because right at the elbow, you have to have a little bend and ease on the jackets. And so on one side of the sleeve, it'll be a little bit longer than the other one, but there'll be like two notches where you have to ease in the sleeve, that part, to fit both sides. And so if you ever see that, that's important because it's not that the pattern, because if you don't make that adjustment and you don't do the easing where those notches are and ease in at the elbow portion, then you're going to have one sleeve that's longer than the other one like that. Okay, but you don't want that. This one is not like that. This one's cut even. Okay. I hope y'all can see okay. Hey Lady Shar, how art thou? Good evening. I hope everything is still well with you and Callie. All right. So again, for sake of time, I'm not going to press the seams open. I'll get to those, but Just as a rule of thumb, always press as you go. All right. So I gotta figure out what I did with my little snips because I'm snipping with big scissors. Did with them. All right. So now what we do, like I told you, I'm gonna sew it just like the pattern says to sew it first. All right. I'm gonna flip it out. You ask to sew up the side seams and the shoulders, and then you ask to sew up the seams on the sleeve, the underarm seams, and then flip it out. Now, this is where you got to make sure that you have clipped your arm side notches. The single notch is always the front arms, the front of the sleeve, and the double notches is always the back of the sleeve. Okay, so they should match the front and backs of your jacket. So you're going to be pinning right sides together. Um, so I'm looking for, let's see how this is going to fall. So it's actually going to be this one. Okay. So this is the back. This right here is the back of my jacket. This is the front over here. This is the back of my sleeve. So I'm going to, I pin my underarm seams together first. And I'd like to pin them open, making sure they match up. Now, a lot of times, y'all know, I never like to think of myself as having OCD or being OCD or whatever, but I can be a bit of a perfectionist a lot of times. Now, it depends on the day. Sometimes I'm like, bump it. I'm just doing it. But I do like to try to make my seams match to perfection as much as I possibly can. There's something satisfying by seeing your seams like spot on matching. So I match up the underarm seam, which is your arm side, from the both the space in between the notches, or is the arm side, and then your shoulder is the cap area. So you have your. Let me mark this on here so you'll see it. Got the circle, circle, and then the notch. Okay. All right, so this is the way it looked on the pattern. Okay. Dot, notch, dot. So that notch is the shoulder seam. So wherever that shoulder seam is, you're gonna place that notch clipping right there. Okay, so that's very important. And right there on that seam. Okay. All is well. Awesome. Okay, so here is, now I'm going to show you, this is why I know you have to pay attention to patterns, because patterns don't always tell you what they need. Sometimes patterns make mistakes, or sometimes the people who create the patterns or the editor may have missed something. So I'm going to show you, I can look at that pattern and tell it probably needed a little easing stitch, and I can look at her picture and tell that it probably was eased in a little bit. Now, I didn't add anything. I didn't change from the pattern. I didn't do anything. Now, this is what can frustrate a newbie, a new beginner. Okay. So let me show you this. All right. So according to the pattern, I don't add any easing or ease stitching or gathering stitches. So an ease stitch is nothing more than a gathering stitch. You do it the same complete way. You add 2 rows of stitch in most cases. A lot of times I do 1 stitch, but that's neither here nor there. You should make a long base, a long stitch. The longest stitch on your machine will be your gathering stitch. So you're going to create 2 gathering stitches right beside each other. Then that will become your easing stitch. Okay, now I'm going to demonstrate that on the next sleeve. All right. So can you see that right there? Now I marked everything just like I was supposed to, and I pinned everything to match everything up. But do you see how there is a little bit of room right there? That's where the easing is supposed to be. Okay. Now I could probably pull that little bit and manipulate it and make it work, which is what I'm gonna do on this sleeve. But I'm gonna show you technically what it should look like. Now look at this right here. Now, could my pattern be off? Could I be off a little bit? I'm going to give a little bit of room over here because there was more space over here on this side than it was on this one. All right, so I moved that over slightly, but you can see that little space right in there? That means it's not meshed up. Like, that needs to be eased. That needs to be eased in. That's why you do easing stitches, okay? So even right here, you can still see right there. See all of that space? So somebody would look at that and say, well, why doesn't it match up? I must have did something wrong. No, you didn't. The pattern just missed a step in telling you to ease the the sleeve, not the you don't ever ease the jacket or the top or the body itself. You always ease the sleeve and only around the sleeve cap. So here I'm going to just manipulate my fabric to make it ease in. Now that's something that you can do if you can do this like I mentioned with the knit. Knit is easily stretchable, so you can make the knit work. You can pull it to make it do what it needs to do. Now I am going to work with the top the top side being the fuller side. Usually I work with the bottom side being the fuller side because the bottom feeds fast on your machine. The bottom feeds faster than the top. So if I flip this over and let the sleeve sew the sleeve from the bottom, which I'll probably do, I'll go ahead and do it. That sleeve is gonna sew through the machine faster than the body, and it'll make it meet up. However, you can manipulate the fabric by tugging and pulling a little bit to make sure it meets up. You can also pin it in place to make sure that it's evenly distributed. So what I'm going to do is make sure that the notch is pinned up. So that's that double notch. I'm going to pull this just a little bit, and I'm going to make sure that it kind of is even amount in there. And I'm going to pin in between. I'm going to put another pin here. All right, I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to pull this just a little bit. I'm actually pulling the part that's not the opposite side of the one that has the room. You could clip this and make it work. I'm not going to clip it right now. Okay. You can clip it just a little bit right within the seam allowance and it will easily just fall into place. Okay. So, but now I'm pinning it to make that work. And right up under the arm, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to pull it just a little bit. It's the bottom that's tight, but the top is the sleeve. I have the sleeve on top. And it's the sleeve is the one that has the more room to it. So I'm pulling the bottom to make it fit the sleeve a little bit better. So can you see that now? Can you see the ripples in there? You see the ripples in there, the space? All right. So I work better with the bodice facing down and I manipulate the fabric. So I'm trying to, for your sake, trying to decide what to do. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and do what I said I was gonna do. I'm gonna, the side that has the more fabric in, I missed one spot. The side that has the more fabric in it, I'm going to sew with it on the bottom so that it can feed faster and evenly distribute itself. But I'll be watching it from the top. Curry says sometimes in tailoring a jacket in the back of the sleeve, dot area can be a bit more to ease, which also can confuse a sewer, especially dealing with wools. Right. Well, especially on jackets and men's jackets too, because that's where a lot of your movement is. You think about it, your back is wider back here. This portion of your back is wider most times, where this part is more hollow right in here. But you have a wider, your back is should be wider. That makes sense. So I'm gonna go ahead and lift my needle up so I can slide my sleeve up under there. Do want to make sure that my shoulder seam, I like to start with the underarm. Is where I like to start my sewing my sleeve under the underarm. Go ahead and put my needle in. Okay. And I definitely need to make sure that my, oh, sorry, y'all can't see me. Let me get this fabric straight, and then I'll make that come a little bit closer so you can see. Make sure my fabric is not caught up underneath. All right, let's see. Trying to make sure I can get you all to get a better, closer view. All right, so as I go, I'm going to be tugging a little bit. I'm going to start off and I'm going to back stitch just a little bit, not much. And I'm doing a 5/8 seam allowance. So by anchoring more pins in it, it allowed me to have better control over making sure that the easing is balanced out. That makes sense. So I can stop like it's, these are depot stops or stations, if you will, where I can stop there. I can pull a little bit at the time. See, like here, I want to make sure right here, I want to make sure that the seam allowance, the edge is even. That makes a difference too. If you allow your sleeve to hang out more than the armhole of the jacket, especially around the sleeve cap, that's going to take some of that cap out, and you'll be back in the same spot and don't have enough room to move your shoulder. Okay, so make sure that you don't sew when you're sewing, that your edges are lined up just the same. Okay, so again, I am pulling and making sure that everything is lining up the way it should. Now with the easing, doing the gathering stitches or the ease stitches, you don't have to pull like this. You just manipulate your thread. Hope y'all can see this okay. Every now and then you want to check and make sure you don't have any thread, any fabric that's pinching close to the needle because you didn't pull tight enough. Okay. In this case, it's you rather sew slower than fast in order to make sure that you get it in there correctly. Because who don't want to be pulling sleeve apart 20 million times? No, I don't. So slow is always okay. Slow and steady wins the race. And notice that I make sure that needle is embedded down in my fabric before I start moving and switching things around. And I'm always checking to make sure I don't have any fabric caught up underneath. Yep. Back stitch right there real good. Okay. All right, go ahead and cut your threads out. Okay. All right, so I want you to see this first before I take this off. Okay. So see how it still looks like that on the edge, but it's smooth, right? Everything is sewn in just like it's supposed to. This side is the fuller side, right? That's the sleeve side. This is the body side right here. There's nothing wrong with it. It's always been straight, but it's the sleeve right here in the cap part where you have the extra ease at. That's all ease. But I manipulated it enough to get it in there. Now that fabric is still there. That amount of fabric didn't go anywhere. I just managed to ease it into the garment, make it fit. All right. So you can kind of see, can you kind of see how it forms a little bit? It's giving shape. If it was a sleeve that didn't have shape to it, it'd be straight across. But this is the shoulder right here. Hang on. Let me pull this back out some. Okay, so you can see how it's giving shape a little bit around it, right? Also, let's see. You see also up at the top of the sleeve, ease your dealing with a little bit of bias, which can cause a gather. Best thing to do is so slow. Yes, so slow. All right, so that's the sleeve. It's in there. So you can press all of this out. Like you can clip it. That's why you notice I didn't clip it because it's not that much. It's not that much. But what I have done, just a little trick, you see where it peeks out right there? You could actually clip that part. And so this is what it looks like now. And now that part will lay flat. It'll lay smooth. Okay. So right there, that's the part, that's how much was puckering out. Okay, and you can do that all the way around, but when you press it, you're gonna surge all of that out anyway, probably. All right, so I'm just gonna do a quick, I'm gonna do a quick press, but I'm gonna show you what I kind of use. Sometimes I'll use this ham, or most of us have this ham, which is a dressmaker's ham, in our stash. Mine is old as gold. Uh, but this is rounded for a reason. Now, I don't have the little thing that the ham sits in, but if you don't have it, get one. I keep telling myself to get one. But it sits in there so you don't have to try to hold the ham and the fabric. But this is why you have the ham, because it can help you curve the shape of that sleeve in there just like that. And so when you get ready to press it, you're pressing that down and it's going to curve and conform just like it needs to. Okay. So let's see, where is that? Okay. You want to curve around the shoulder. So you want that. And a lot of times what I do is pin it in place because you really don't, you're not trying to press the whole sleeve part. And I know this portion, what I'm telling you, is probably a little bit more than it's probably, um, but it's okay. You need to know that part anyway. You need to know how to press it. All right. So you would just basically press the seam from the seam, the stitching out towards the seam in order to get that done. So I'm gonna go ahead and, like I said, if you need to pin it in place, you can to make sure it stays. The main thing is to press that sleeve cap down. You can get the rest of it later. So I'll be right back. Let me press this really quick and you can see what I'm talking about. Good steam works. An iron with good steam will help you get that to lay down flat. Okay, so I've got that pressed out. So I want you to see what it looks like after I've pressed it. Okay. See what that looks like now. So you see where it's eased in at, but you didn't have to gather anything, right? So, but now I'm going to show you on the other side how to do it with the gathering stitches. Okay. Because I still have one more sleeve to put in, right? So that was me doing it without easing the gathering stitches in. And don't forget, you always press the seams towards the body. All right. I'm sorry, press the seams toward the sleeve, not the body. All right, so let's go ahead and before we get the sleeve pinned in, I'm going to go ahead and gather. When I put my machine goes up to a 5. Okay, I have a Juki DDR 8700. It's an industrial machine. Yours may go to a 6 on your machine if you have a domestic machine. All right, so I like to, when I put my E-stitching in, because I like for my stitches to go a long way, I like to have a lot to work with. So I'll actually start my basting from my arm side notches. From the, like this one will be the front arm side notch. So I'll start maybe right about here and base stitch all the way around to the back side arm side notch. Okay, now you want to do a 1/2 inch stitch. Okay, don't back stitch, and always leave long tails. Always like to leave long tails, because once you start gathering and manipulating them and spreading them out, easing them out, you don't want it to come undone. So always make sure that you're leaving long tails. Okay, now I'm going to start here. 1/2 inch, and the reason why you do 1/2 inch, not 5/8 of an inch, is because you want this to be on the inside of your actual stitch. Okay. So now, if you have your machine is like mine, it will automatically start start gathering on most fabrics. That's okay. You can. That's why you leave long tails so that you can spread those gathers back out. Okay, lift that up and long tails. You can always cut those off. Now, I have a tendency a lot of times not to do 2 stitches, but it depends on the fabric. If it's lightweight, I won't do it. I'll just use the one, and I know how to kind of manipulate it, be gentle with it, so the threads don't pop. But so you make sure that your threads don't pop, always do 2 stitches. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go inside that stitch that I just did and stitch another row of gathering stitches. Same thing, go all the way around it. Don't back stitch at all. You can see that. Make sure your threads are not caught up, because you don't want to stitch over another thread. Also, rule of thumb with gathering, whatever side you start with, whether it's the right side of the sleeve or the back side, whichever side you start with, if you start gathering on this side, keep it that way. Don't start pulling threads on this side and then flip it over and start pulling threads from this side, because you're going to lock your stitches up. Okay, so that's what I do too, front to back notch, long tails on both ends. Yeah, it's so much easier that way, or safe that way. All right, so you can see I've got my threads and everything. Make sure that you know goes with what. So what I meant was, by make sure you pull the stitches on both on the same side. So when you gathering your stitches, you're gonna have stitches on both sides. You're gonna have these stitches on this side, these threads on this side, and then you're going to have threads on this side. Always make sure you pull the same thread on that one side all the time. If you start pulling this thread on this side and then you decide, well, I'm going to go ahead and pull it on this side, you're going to lock your gathers up and you won't be able to pull it at all. Hey, Nina, how art thou? All right, so make sure you remember what side you're pulling, else you're going to have to start all over. Okay. All right, so go ahead and pin my underarm seam together first, underarm sleeve and the underarm of the jacket. Pinning my sleeves open. Okay. I don't know what I did with my I don't know what I did with my clips. I put them somewhere. So use my pins. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and pin the shoulder seam. Now make sure sometimes you can mistakenly pin like one of the placement points as a shoulder dart, a shoulder seam point, but you want to make sure that you got the right markings. Okay, so to make sure that I don't confuse my threads, I go ahead and pull the threads that's closest to the threads that's on the inside. I go ahead and tuck it on the inside, so all I see is the one set of threads to pull. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and pin my arm side notches too. Okay, so that way I can make sure I'm getting it right. So that's the placement, the easing notch or the placement notch. Okay, there is the shoulder notch. If you do it that way, you can't get it wrong. Okay, all right, so here I'm going to pull that over to that side because it's trying to creep on the wrong side. Making sure the other set of strings are on the inside. And then I'm going to pin. Now, I know you probably say, well, what about you got to gather, you're doing all this pinning. So I'm just making sure everything is placed where it should be placed. All right. So now I really didn't have a whole lot to go back and adjust because with my machine, I don't know if you can see that it already eased it a little bit. There wasn't much easing that needed to be done or much gathering that needed to be done, but my machine did it. So there's really not much more for me to do except for just make sure that it's spread evenly. Now, the majority of your easing should be towards inside the placement notches. That's where the majority of your ease should be, right in this cap, because that's where your shoulder has to move. So with the notches pinned in place, everything pinned in place, you're going to make sure that everything is laying smooth. All right, so that's laying like it should. Almost look like the other sleeve that I didn't add stitches to, right? So you see how it has a tendency to want to gather. So you're just going to manipulate it and make sure that it's laying smooth, that it's evenly spread out in that area, and still making sure that your seams, the seam edges meet up. Okay. You're still going to go ahead and when you get ready to stitch this together, you still want to make sure that you are pulling this a little bit taut to make sure that it's lining up the way it should. Okay. Sometimes it's a little bit more gathers in some garments than others. All right. We'll go ahead and pin this. Remember how I did the other one? I pinned in between the pins to make sure that everything is spread evenly. Okay. Now sometimes there'll be more gathers on the front side than the back. Now that seems to be just a little bit off. So I'm going to okay. I had that pin just a little bit off. So I'm going to put a pin right here. Now, sometimes there's a little bit more gathering. I think Curry said it earlier. It's a little bit more easing in the back of the sleeve than the front because a broader you have broader tissue back there, your shoulder blades and all that. You have to make sure that you have room enough because we tend to do this in our jackets. We tend to do this more so. We reach out more so like this up. We don't do this all the time. So why would we need more easing right in here? Because we're not going to always be moving our arms backwards this way, but we tend to move our arms forward this way, which means that we need more room back here, right? We tend to hug, we tend to reach and do all these things. So we have to make sure that we have a little bit more space or room in the back. So you might notice that your back piece is a little bit cut a little bit wider, just a tad bit, and you might notice there's a little bit more easing in the back area, and that's why. All right, so I'm going to be watching this area right here because it tends to be um, a little bit more easing right in that area. So I'm going to be watching that as I sew. But now I've got everything in place. Don't cut any of your strings off yet. Wait till you get it sewn on. Because what if you have to go back in there for something? Okay. I'm going to do just like I did. I'm going to sew with my sleeve on the bottom. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and alright. I am going to now I'm going back to, don't forget to change your stitches back. Going back to my 3.0. Put my needle down in there to anchor it. Go ahead and take that one pin out. And I always like to make sure that both seams, top and bottom, are open flat. Like this one just went to one side. So I'll go back in there and flatten it back out. Okay. Trying to get this where you all can see this. I don't know if it's going to let you because this fabric is in the way. Threads out the way. Anytime you have to shift your fabric or anything, put the needle down in your fabric to anchor the fabric. Alright, again, make sure your edges are meeting. So you make sure you have a proper sleeve cap. And I'm going to give it just a little pull. And I'm checking the bottom to make sure that it's not, fabric is not getting caught up under there. Alright, so I don't know, you can see right there where it's pinching a little bit. So that's the area I say I need to watch. So when I get around here, I'm going to make sure that it stays smoothed out. I'm just going to give it a little extra tug right there in that area. Because you don't want any pinching right in there. Okay. Just giving it a little feel to make sure we're good up under there. We'll go back and visit that just a little bit. I think I got it though. And don't be afraid to test it and mess up and do it over again because it's practice make perfect, or near perfect. Everything might not ever be perfect, but you'll get better at it. And so one of the biggest things is to remember that you don't have to go fast. Take your time while you going around these sleeves. Slow and steady wins the race. That just means that you get it right. Okay. All right. You know what? I was about to cut the threads, but let me just check it. Okay. All right. While I have it big like that, I'm gonna let you keep it like that so you can see it. All right. So let's check that area that I said was a problem area. That was right in there. So I got it in there smooth just to make sure while I'm going through there, everything laid out like it was supposed to. Okay. So you still got the same effect. Now, if there was a lot of easing in there, it might not come out like that. You have to really work with it and manipulate those gathers to make sure they're even. Pinning is key. If you need to pin, look, put extra pins in between each area and tug in, just pull in a little bit taut as you're going, but put the fuller side of the fabric, the sleeve, under the bottom because the sleeve is what you need to ease in. So make sure that sleeve is on the bottom, and as you're sewing, the machine is going to feed the fuller side faster, which makes it comply to the top layer a little bit better. All right. All right, so let's see how it did. So same result. And you do not get that. See how it comes out? You don't get that bunching. And you can see right there, and just right there. It's not pinched or anything, but you can tell that that's where some gathering is. I mean, not gathering, but you can tell there was where a lot of fabric. So right in there. So I'll do like I showed you before. I can clip, you can clip those areas in there. See where you have those little peaks right there? You can clip that to make them lay straight. Because all it is that that piece of area has no room to go. Like, it's too much. And so it can't lay down because it's too much fabric to meet, to rest right there. But when I clip it like that, it lays down flat. Okay. So then when you get ready to press it out, it will comply a little bit better. Okay. All right. You see where'd it go? It disappeared. All right. So then you go in there and just press everything out like I did before. All right. So that was two ways that we eased that sleeve in. We did it the first way where the pattern does not call for easing stitching. It just, she pulls it. Obviously, she had to pull it, or whoever makes this has to pull it. But I'm going to read that portion again because it says nothing about easing stitches, but I want to see if it tells you how to tug on it a little bit while you're sewing. Most patterns are basic patterns, and they're not going to tell you these techniques. A lot of these techniques are dressmaker techniques, tailor's techniques, or designer techniques. And a lot of times these patterns are not going to tell you that. They're not going to go into that kind of detail. They just want you to know the basics on how to put it together, right? So this would be step 22 that we just did, sewing the sleeves in. Okay. Yeah, that will be step 22. So I'm going to read to you what step 22 says. All right. Step 22 says turn the sleeve right side out, hold jacket wrong side out with armhole torsion. With right sides together, pin sleeve to armhole with center small dot at shoulder seam, matching underarm seams, notches, and remaining small dots. Baste. Stitch again 1/8 of an inch. from first stitching. Trim seam below notches to stitching. Now that part is confusing to me. All right. So it says baste. Stitch again 1/8 inch from first stitching. Trim seam below notches close to stitching. Press only seam allowance. Shrinking out. It says shrinking out fullness. So what she's saying is that when you press this, it should shrink out that fullness. All right, but you would know how to handle that fullness without knowing to ease it in, gather it in, or even pull it a little bit tight. So at either rate, I hope that this helped give you a little bit better insight on how to put a sleeve in. If you have more questions, or if anything that I said did make sense, or you like a little bit more detail on it, just let me know, because just like with the zippers, we're going to have a different, more thorough session. Um, I can do a more thorough session where we go into detail about the sleeves, and you can ask all the questions, have like a Q&A of how to get those sleeves in perfectly or near perfectly, right? Once you do get the once you get the sleeve in and you realize that it's good and nothing's wrong with it, you can go ahead and clip your threads. Okay. All right, and that is that. Again, you'll go in and press. See, you'll go in and put that sleeve over your hand, just like this. Now you do it from this way. Always want to press from this way. Okay. And when you press, make sure you pull your fabrics. Make sure no fabric is buckled up under here, folded up under or anything like that. You want to make sure that it's smooth. Okay. And you're going to press that seam towards the sleeve. Okay. Just like that. And then once it's done, check it again. I'm always clipping threads, y'all. Always. All right. I'm going to give this just a quick little press since I did the other one so you can see the difference. All right. Really won't be a difference. It all came out the same way. A lot of times on tailored jackets, we leave that seam allowance in because it acts as a little ledge for support. Like you add other stuff in there, like sleeve caps and sleeve heads and things like this. So, especially now, we're back into the age of back into the season of shoulder pads. And so, the seam allowance gives you a little bit of lip for the shoulder pads. All right. So, did I press that side? I saw to press that side. I thought I did. Anyway, here you go. Let me get my arm in. Well, I didn't stitch the arm up, did I? In there somewhere. Okay. Now, wait a minute now. I'm trying to get my arm in. There we go. All right. Goodness gracious. So maybe I sewed the arm up. Okay. Now I feel it. Okay, so now you can kind of see where the arm sits. I mean, where the shoulder sits. So it doesn't sit too much off the shoulder, but this is a jacket that I would actually add a shoulder pad to. One for me is because I hope you guys are still there. I hope the comments didn't go anywhere. Um, hang on. Okay. All right. So for me, my shoulders slope a little bit, so I will put just a little bit of shoulder pad in there or padding to make sure that it has a little bit of lift for me. All right, because my shoulders still here. Okay, all right, awesome. So see how my shoulders slope a little bit. This is fine and it's good for a casual look, but I would definitely just maybe just for a slightly casual tailored look, add a little sleeve in there. All right, so this jacket does wrap. All right, so you see right here where I talk about how my jackets and stuff, everything crumples like that. So I could actually help some of that by taking some, going down that center seam or either adding darts in it. So that this might be a reason to use this same jacket for darts. But I am going to use this in the fourth week to address the notches. All right. All right. So how did I do with the set-in sleeves? You guys okay with that? Did that make a little bit of sense? All right, and then I'm going to continue on with this for the notch collars week after next. Not next week. We're going to do darts next week. Um, but yeah, so this is it. We work those set-in sleeves. You said yes for me. I put a shoulder pad. I have. You got slope shoulders too? Yeah. All right. Thanks, Michelle. All right. You're welcome, Wanda. Well, thank you, Curry. I appreciate it. Thank you, Nina. I appreciate you all. All right. So yeah. So let me know if you all are going to be um working on set-in sleeves. I think Nina, did you tell me you were working on set-in sleeves? I know that your garment that you did last week, excuse me, you were doing zippers and your garment was serving two purposes. I know that. Excuse me. I think you were doing. Thanks, Alessandro. Thank you. I think you were doing. I saw your picture, which was great, by the way. So I think you were doing. There's so much talent. The stash busting and make nine. Y'all, I had to bow out and make nine this year because last year, well, I'm trying to get into so much stuff, and last year, like, it took me out of here. I put my hands in too much stuff. I want to support everything and everybody, but uh, business said, girl, you know what? You can't do all that stuff. So I had to remember that. He said, yeah, I did two and one. I had the individual zipper and the sleeve with a set in sleeve. Okay, awesome. Awesome. All right. So, all right. Well, that's it, ladies. And if there are any gentlemen watching, I'm going to go ahead. I'll try to take a picture of me in this so we could talk about the set-in sleeves. But I hope that you would actually focus on something else. Like, don't just let it be one garment. If you have opportunity to do more than one, that means extra fabric that you busting out of your stash, right? That you're depleting from your stash. I will say this. I am going to finish this, like I said, the last week. I'm going to put this aside until then um, and work on it. But I got to figure out what I'm going to do for the collar now because I've run out of red fabric. But that would only be like 20% of my garment, right? I'm not going to do the lining. Um, yeah, I'm not going to do the lining on this one. So either I'm going to find a contrasting fabric or I'll find, probably gonna be contrasting because I bought this fabric a while back, so pretty sure I don't have more of it. But I will find something to contrast, maybe a denim or something. I don't know. We'll see. But I will say this is one of the other pieces that I want to do for a set-in sleeve. And it's the Mimi G pattern that I just showed you. Uh, hang on one second. This was going to be a fun sew. Now, in theory, let me find that pattern again. All right, so this is my bright idea on what I want to do. So y'all hanging there with me. Y'all rock with me for just a second. Hear my idea. I told y'all I'm outside about where's oh, that was on Instagram earlier today. It was talking about me being outside the box. Oh, you were there, Lysandra. I think it was Brenda. I was telling her that I'm, a little bit different, like Lisa Bonet, Denise on the Cosby Show. She was like real different. I don't want to be done. I'm just going to make. I'm just going to make 5. You gonna make 5? Okay. Lady Shar still with us. She said, I have a garment that will have set-in sleeve darts and notch collar. Okay. Well, don't forget, if whatever you guys are doing, make sure you hashtag SMT 2025. Yeah, SMT 2025 stash busting fast. All right. Okay, so hear me out. Hear me out. All right, I see it in my head. And I hope to get it. I should be able to get it done. So I want to do this duster. I've never done this one for myself. I just used this as a template for a garment I had to make a client recently. But I had this pattern for a while, but I want to do the duster with the sleeves. But I want the sleeves to be different. I'm going to show you the fabric. And this is a skirt that I had, so I'll be repurposing a skirt as well. I think. Haven't made up my mind yet. I may not use the skirt, and I may just use this fabric. But this was the initial thought. Thought about this is going to be the duster. Okay. I found this fabric at Wally Mart in one of those rolled up bins, like it was 4 yards, I think. And I was initially going to use this to make that sassy sweatsuit pattern by D, but I think I have something else that I'm going to use for it. But I was going to use that for this. But I want the sleeves to be different. So I had thought about using this skirt and making sleeves from it. But I don't know that I want to do that. I would like to make the sleeves, I think, out of this and make a little bit of probably a little banded collar on this. So basically, hang on. It's gonna be a little fancy, I know, but just sometimes I'm like that. And where I wear this stuff, y'all, don't even know, because I don't have time for nothing. Alright, so but I have some leather, faux leather black pants that I want to wear. I can wear this with. And maybe we might go out to dinner or something like that. Or maybe me and my husband hang out. But just to have it, it's just an idea bring it to life. So I'm thinking I'm gonna go this route and use this for the body, the duster part, and make the sleeves out of this. That's the thought. So we'll see. But I do want to use this because I like this fabric right here, and it's a skirt, but I do want to use it for a sleeve. And I would gather the sleeve at the bottom and let it puff out, puff just a little bit. Does that make sense? Hey, Danielle, how are you? Thank you, thank you, thank you. You said go for it. I actually prefer the skirt fabric for the sleeve. You like the skirt fabric for the sleeve? Yeah, you like You like this fabric better? Somehow it looks like it would go because, like I was explaining earlier, I'm not, it's okay to be matchy matchy, but I'm a little different. Like, I like different things. I like things that don't quite make sense. They do, but they don't. That makes sense. So if you look inside here, do you see little dots, right? You see little polka dots. So that's why it kind of made sense to me, right? Do you see the dots? That's why it kind of made sense to me. So I can see this as the sleeve also, Danielle. I can. Use the skirt for a white jacket. I do have a white jacket, um, but I don't know. But you see, this is always my dilemma. Did I just scratch my head? Did I just do that? But you see my dilemma. I think I did just scratch my head. You think these two give Lisa Bonet? Yeah, it's really different, right? I know what you meant. It's really different. So I mean, and I think this will make it more not casual casual, but it'll make it more wearable, right? It won't be so out there. Like this will be very sophisticated. Like I need to go to somebody's party or something. Like I couldn't wear it all the time. I might could get more use out of it with this one, right? These are the struggles that I have. These are the struggles that I have trying to figure out what I'm gonna do, and then I end up putting it away, and yeah. So, and then I second guess myself a lot. Like, and I always tell my husband, he do the same thing. I said, whatever your initial thought was, go with it, because what you do is you change it up the second time around. The first time, what is the first time is better? The second time is so much better. I don't know. I don't believe that. I don't believe. Is the second time so much better? It's better the first time around, right? Anyway, y'all, I've been on here long enough. I just wanted to throw that out there. Um, Here's my other thought, and I'm gonna leave with this. This was my last thought. I'm thinking about making some pants out of this. Now I know that's fancy, but sometimes, like I have, um, I'll probably be doing more concierge work at weddings. Like I'll be going to more weddings and helping the brides that I service. Um, so of course I got to dress the part, right? So I'm thinking that this could be a pair of pants, like some nice dress pants. That's different. But I definitely have to line these things because I ain't walking down the aisle scratching. Anyway, all right, I'm gone with that. I am gone. So thank y'all for hanging out with me. I truly do hope that you all got something out of it. If you're just coming in and missed the whole toot about the set-in sleeves, catch the replay. And don't forget to share this out, please. Make sure you share this out to wherever you are streaming. And don't forget to hit those likes. All right. Oops. All right. I love y'all to life. Blessings and peace. Oh no, I might want to keep my skirt though. Ain't what a skirt. All right, y'all. I love y'all to life. Blessings and peace. Y'all have a good night. Talk to y'all later. Bye.